In part one of our Rayman Legends live review, we looked at some initial gameplay, just really talked about the things that made the game beautiful and made the game and the very few things that could hurt the game. And as we were on break between part one and part two of the live review, great question that came from Tier 1 Menace. Thanks for asking, Menace. Is the game a sequel, or could he simply just pick it up and understand what's going on? Rayman has become basically a title or a series that you can just pick up and get, no matter where you're picking it up at, whether it be with Origins or Legends. Now, they've all kind of had a similar flow between them, but with Legends, yeah, there really is no issue you would have with simply picking it up and playing it. And again, it's definitely one of those games, if you want something refreshing, something that you declare your own challenges about, like I'm going to finish the level in this amount of time, or I'm going to collect every single loom or every single teensy in these levels, then you really decide your own challenges, because the only goal that you really have is completing the level. Anyways, so getting back into it, we're going to take a look at a few things in the second part of this review before we move into questions. We're going to be looking at things that the developers and the designers of the game did wonderfully to really just keep every level fresh and unique in and of themselves, whether it was little tweaks here or little tweaks here, before we look at chase sequences and the kind of frantic style that really makes the game almost feel just like a rush, and that you'll see in a lot of the advertisements, a lot of the trailers, where it just feels like you're constantly moving. And after that, we'll look at the boss and some late stage gameplay, or I guess mid stage gameplay, as we answer questions. So let's see if there's any questions before we move into. Final Fantasy is a good comparison. Obviously, the story is nowhere near as complicated as Final Fantasy can get, but yes, each game basically stands in and of itself, by my understanding. Now, granted, I only played, or at least I can say I remember playing, the original first and second Rayman that were also in 2D, but my head's in the screen. But I can't entirely say that Rayman 3D was different. So, what we see here is Ray Duck. And oddly enough, these were my favorite levels because I love ducks. Because I'm weird like that. I love ducks so much that I actually didn't like these levels as levels to be played. Like, if I were to say which levels am I going to go back and play because I actually loved the gameplay of the level, it wouldn't be the levels where I played as the ducks. But the duck just made it so different and so cute and so cool that it made those levels where you were forced to transform into a duck by the antagonist, which you just saw, which is a Teensy. I call him Wizard Teensy. Again, one of those names I probably could have looked up before the review started. But it's just so cool. And one of the elements to note here that I didn't like about the gameplay, that personally was simply a challenge. And again, this challenge probably isn't present on the Wii U controls, but is more prevalent on PC and 360 and PS3 controls, is the Murphy gameplay. As you can see here, he's just going in a circle. And you're supposed to click Murphy when you want him to eat the cake. He eats the cake out of the level, and then you can pass through it, and the cake can be, I don't want to call it regrow, because if it was regrowing cake, then ugh. We'll call it it's filled in by the baker. Anyways, so the cake regrows and you can actually die, and I'm actually going to die when the cake regrows on me coming up here. But again, the coolest thing about these levels, these sequences where you're a duck, is just that you're a duck. Like, the platforming probably would have felt very much the same, but all the little quacks and just simply the feathers flying just made it such a different experience from the other levels that were very similar, that again, it goes back to that idea of how every level feels unique and fresh and very cool. And it's those little things added to such a whole package that make the game so great. So, I'm going to go ahead and let this play out. And what we'll be moving into, again, as I've said a few too many times, is chase sequence. I believe it's here. But yeah, you play as Duckman. One thing I had that I won't be showing, is, because I had such trouble with it, having to switch the controls back and forth, was some issues with water play. And that was simply because of the keyboard controls, which would obviously simply be alleviated by really sitting down and thinking about where I wanted my controls to be, or what I would have really made my controls. I just kind of put them together on the fly. And what really can be said about it is that the water, the wind levels where you can float through some of the levels, the chase levels, the timed levels where you have to move through the level in a certain amount of time to rescue all the teensies, just, again, keep the game so fresh. There are so many options and so many different ways to play, because you can choose the order in which you go about playing the levels. It just makes it so fun. So again, what you see here is one of the antagonists, one of the antagonists, because him and his group of brothers who wear magician hats, I'll call him Merlin Teensy, they always try and get away with the redhead Teensy, and it's that kind of kooky teen, or not teen, toony vibe that just, it hits home. It just makes you, it feels, again, I know I keep saying it, but it feels so fresh in an industry that often feels stagnant, like you're only shooting things. So, yeah. What's going to be coming up next is another chase sequence where I played as the red glow box, and this is a fun sequence where I'm in that cake-style world that is kind of linked to luchadors and just all kinds of kooky fun. And here's the luchador that's trying to chase me down. I'll die a few times, but that's another thing worthy of note in Rayman Legends, is that dying most of the time when it's not overly repetitive, and that is such a rare occasion, is fun. I couldn't help but have a giant banana grin on my face through most of the game and most of the play, and even when I died, I would just laugh and just play it again, because it's just so fun and so unique. And yeah, there really isn't much more to say about that, so we're going to let this portion play out before we get into the boss fight and really talk about how boss fights are really one of the shining pieces. And I'll take questions, of course. Then this brings up an interesting point that I kind of, I guess, touched on last week, with the Lost Planet 3 live review. Boss fight, obviously games are very known for their boss fights, as Menace brings up. The issue is that in games like Lost Planet 3, where they just almost centralize around constant boss fights, is that boss fights can often be annoying. And it's games like this where the boss fights are not only super fun, challenging, but just cool to be a part of, where it feels like you're influencing, or where the environment is an influence. Yes, and even in this 2D environment, it's such an influence, and it's, again, just little cool things like that. And, again, one of the last things I want to show before the review wraps up, or even after I throw up the editing screen, is for the the initial opening level I did for the review, because it's just so cool. You guys have to see it before the review's over. And as soon as I saw this level that again I showed at the beginning of the review, I just knew what score I was going to give this game. It was so phenomenal. Just again, those little things that the developers add that just make it such a better game. So this is the boss fight. This was one of the first boss fights that I'm already dead at, and that's okay. This was one of the more challenging levels for me. I actually do find myself dead a lot. You're given a floating boxing glove to aid you in the boss fight. Some of them you get the boxing glove, some you don't. But yeah, gonna go ahead and let this play out. Take some questions. Drop, welcome back. Thanks for being here, man. If you have any questions about Rayman Legends, very fun game, feel free to ask. Drop asks if I beat the game all the way through. That was something I brought up in part 1, so it's great to have here in part 2 as well. It was a game I intended to beat. I am 18 hours in and still loving it. I did not beat it because it's just a game I wanted to enjoy so much and am enjoying so much that I said to myself, alright, there's enough here that, one, I understand, everything that's going on in the game. There's not going to be a massive story progression or some kinds of massive twists because it's not that kind of game. It's a game centered around the gameplay. So, no, I did not beat it because I really just want to continue to enjoy the experience. And there is a lot to do in this game, a lot to collect, a lot of levels to play, and like I said, a lot to enjoy. So, yeah, that's really the only reason I didn't beat it. Other than that, I mean, there's no story that's going to make or break the game to me. And I don't really think, if you're looking for a story experience, I don't think you would look to Rayman Legends for that. But yeah, the hardness level is basically determined by how you want to play the game. You can play the more challenging levels, you can go to collect everything in every single level, or you can simply not. You can simply try to get through the levels, go on easy mode, only play the easy levels, and then after you've really acclimated to the play environment, you could probably ace the hard levels, again, without collecting everything. But that's my personal preference. Even on these boss levels, as the dragon moves through the awesome 3D environment, again, that's one of the things I wanted to bring up, was how the environment and how the 3D and 2D just interact so well and so beautifully with one another. Just one of those things I want to bring up, and, let's see. This is definitely a game for anyone. I would go as far as to say that, and I feel like I rarely say that about any game. This is a game for anyone, much like the game of Journey. Again, one of those beautiful games. When I was doing my written reviews for the old style of the site, Journey was the only game I gave a perfect score to, and yeah, it's definitely a game for... Oh, I forgot I died there. I was just like, wait, no! So yeah, I would definitely feel anyone can play. It's got local co-op. Again, mentioned this in the first part, but for, anyone who's tuning in. There is no online co-op, sadly, so I can't, I wasn't able to feature online play. But, yeah. Yeah, me and my sister used to play Sonic all the time. In fact, I preferred playing as Tails, and I would actually be the support role for her as Sonic. So, yeah, it's definitely that fun, just relaxing style of game where, you and a girlfriend, or even a girl and her boyfriend, can sit down and enjoy together. You and a couple of buddies, you and a group of 3 friends can just sit down and laugh and enjoy. Because, as I was saying earlier, even when I died, even when I lost, and it rarely got frustrating when I would find myself dead, I just enjoyed it so much. It was so laughable. It was just such a good time. And this is really what this boss battle demonstrates. And like I said, this boss fight reminds me of how to yes, it does remind me of how to train your dragon. Yeah, and a friend of mine who's in chat brings up how he was actually over the one time and how we were all playing Battlefield, and my sister actually plays Battlefield really well, and he actually lost to her. Fun stuff. Fun facts about me and my family, my gaming family and lifestyle. And I'm dead again. Again, anyone feel free to kick over any questions. Gonna go ahead and go back to full screen. One of the fun things, because I did die a lot in this battle, one of the fun things I kept doing with the glow box was, hands up! Because they just have such goofy motions that I would just keep doing that as kind of like my own personal taunt. And yeah, just, again, it's really as fun or as challenging as you choose to make it. So, yeah, just fun things to note. Again, anyone who wants to throw out a question, and to anyone who's in the archive, to you archive viewers as well, who are on YouTube, feel free to throw out comments, because I will gladly look to your comments and answer them personally, or as many as I can with the time I have. Because answering your questions, I feel, are a very important part of review process that often isn't done. So, yeah. And after the boss battle plays out, we'll switch to the score screen. So, Menace brings up an interesting question. What was the biggest challenge for the game? And that was, like I said, you kind of just make your own challenges. It was in the later stages, or I guess you could call them even mid-stages of gameplay, where I was on the more difficult levels, but I found myself wanting to collect everything. And there were just those moments where it was just like, I can't save that teensy because I keep dying. I'd have to be a better player, or simply acclimate more to the gameplay to save everything. So it's just, again, it's really just comes down to challenges. And do you want to save everything? Do you want to collect every single loom, or do you just want to get through the level? And yeah, so the later levels definitely get harder. And this is just kind of a cool little scene that you get every time you defeat one of the Merlin teensies. And there really isn't much to be said about it. He's sent to a little moon where the pygmies inhabit, and, well, it's a bit self-explanatory, and just kind of, again, it just puts a big banana grin on your face. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and let the gameplay progress at this point, because there is some later stage gameplay that I'll want to see that I can just let this part play out until it gets to it while we talk about the score for the game, because the score is important. So, again, one of the highest scoring games I've done thus far. I gave it a 9.5 to an 11.5, and since this is only episode 10, since this is only the third live review that'll be going in the archive, I know I said I would be doing a private recording of Blacklist, but when I actually tried to do a private recording of Blacklist, it just didn't work out because there was no one to interact with. It wound up just feeling awkward and about, like, 20 minutes long, and it just wouldn't fit properly. So this review score is an exponential curve system. I couldn't think of anything better to really deviate myself or differentiate myself with by comparison to regular base 10 systems. Base 10 systems obviously work on a slant. Base 10 systems are basically your 10 stars, your 5 stars, your 5 points, your 10 points, your 100%, your American grading system scores, things like that. And the problem to me with those is that you're basically throwing almost everything that sucks within 60 to 75% of your scoring range, where, like, everything below a 7, everything below a 6 sucks. And why really leave that much room for something you could simply classify as bad? So my score, there we go, allows me to put everything that's bad near the bottom. Roughly the lower 25%, and spread out everything that's good. So instead of scoring everything that's good at 9 or 10, I can spread them out. So the score system, again, allows me to do that, and I gave Rayman Origins a 9.5 to an 11.5. Awesome, phenomenal game. Just, again, a game I feel like anyone could pick up and play and just have fun and laugh and just enjoy. Unless you hate life or cartoons, which I guess you might hate one or the other. I don't feel like you hate both. Unless you just, yeah. Anyways, so the pros of the game are one of the most beautiful games of the year, even in 2D. Sometimes a 2D game just can outperform and outclass the 3D games that we love so much. And again, I feel like this will be one of the most beautiful games of the year. Looks wonderful, sounds wonderful. I know the audio was turned down or had some audio issues in keeping the audio levels up for the review or the recordings, so that was an issue. But that's something I can personally look into for future recordings. Every single level offers something fresh, unique from the one that preceded it, adding levels of enjoyment throughout the whole experience. I said this again and again and again throughout Part 1 and Part 2 of the review. And I can't emphasize it anymore. Or yes, I can. Every level offers something new and unique, and is awesome. And if you look here, what we're looking at, oh god, is XSplit, is a water level, where I was playing as one of the lovely ladies you rescue, and she's simply moving throughout the water level, and it's just a good time, and you actually move between water and land, and there was a bit of a problem on the computer controls, but again, for me, with computer controls, it could have just been something where I simply said, alright, I'm just going to really sit down and figure out what I want my controls to be, and I won't have to change them. The real problem was saying what was up movement and what was jump movement, because I wanted jump to be up on the arrows, and shift was basically putting the hand up or moving up in the water. And meh. So, again, one of those just little things that doesn't really affect how I judge the game. Moving back to the score and moving the score back over here so we're kind of facing the camera. A swath of characters to unlock, collectibles, and far more allow for hours upon hours of play that rarely feels tired. The second day I started playing this game, I was just like, alright, we're going to get about 4 hours of Rayman Legends play in, and then we'll do some site work, doing some site prep, some of the things that really go into the background, working with the site, and setting up broadcasts. No, I went for like 8 to, I think it was like 12, 16 hours of game. It was so fun. The second day was so fun. I wish I actually had put more time into it, but things require attention. Doctors need to see me to figure out what the hell is wrong with me. So, not my mind, my body. But maybe I should talk to someone about my mind. Anyway, so Murphy controls function well when not played on the Wii U platform, offering unexpected challenges. I can literally see where things on the Wii U you would use a motion like this, but in the experience with the game itself outside of the Wii, Murphy is going in a circle, and you have to time where he's actually going to basically eat the cake or plant a block in the way of lava falling on you. Things like that. And again, just unexpected and fun challenges where they might not be on the Wii U, but are on the platform, and vice versa. So, phenomenal meshing between 2D and 3D visuals. Just again, further the immersion of the experience and just make it so fun, fresh, and friendly. No one's asking questions. We'll just go ahead and continue and close out with neutrals and cons and look at some gameplay and then watch the stage where you basically played Black Betty. Fun time, fun game, and there were other song stages. I didn't want to include them to spoil anything. Very fun, very worth playing. So, neutrals. Only local co-op. Can hurt, cannot. Local co-op's a great thing. It's worth calling a neutral. Wonderful to be able to play in the same room with friends, but in these times, it's nice to be able to have both local and online play. Not much more need be said than that. I emphasized how it would have been nice to play with some people online, because this isn't a game that every single person you know is going to pick up, and that's just kind of the way things are right now. While we wish that everyone could own a game like this because it deserves it, they just don't. Cons. In missions where you're supposed to be saving a hero, it doesn't really feel like you're saving anyone except for more teensies. You receive a hero as a kind of reward, but they're called rescue missions. It doesn't really feel like you're rescuing anyone except the teensies. Meh. That's the only con I can really designate. Honestly, this is a wonderful game, deserving of its score. For anyone who falls in the lower tiers of enjoyment of the game, you'll still find it to be profound, even for a platformer. It does some very principal things, some things that are very unique and not seen elsewhere. The best is what people who will truly enjoy it, like myself, will call it. And there really isn't much more to be said than that, than to say it's the best. We're going to go back to some gameplay while we take some questions to close out the review. Yay, welcome back. There's Exploit. I'm very sorry, guys. That happens when I switch to the score and forget to move it over. And, you know, just kind of a bit of a long day. I know it doesn't sound like I should be having long days, but I do. I forget what the name of the character was that I was playing at this with at this point, but she was a lot of. I mean, they're all lots of fun. It's very fun to switch up between them. She is one of those I would call one of the lucky characters I play as. Again, there's no real differentiation between any of the characters. They don't have any moves outside of their looks. But yeah, I just felt like, you know, when moving through these mid-game levels, I you know, just felt like I was performing better with her. So definitely when I go back to playing the game, I will play with her again. Yay, Baskin. My chat's been talking about girl gamers all the time. Fun fact about not all the time, they've been talking about girl gamers tonight. Fun fact about girl gamers, they actually make up about 40% of the market share right now. So, you know, and I actually see a lot of pro girl gamers who just really kick ass, you know. So, good for the gaming industry as a whole. And that's really all that needs to be said, so. So, just gonna go ahead and let this gameplay play out. Laser light show is coming up. Alright. So, we'll get to the laser gameplay that I wanted to demonstrate, and then we'll close out, we'll flip to an editing screen, and we'll go ahead and close with the Black Betty level. So those who are here who missed it get to see that because, again, something that's very fun. So what I wanted to exemplify here is just really how you can get a sense of flow with your gameplay once you really understand a section or a level. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip to this same part after I've died a few times with the laser lights that you're seeing here, and there's the first death. So I'm going to go ahead and skip to that, and this is exactly what I wanted to get to. So going to go ahead and let this play out. Then we're going to close up the review. Doesn't look like anyone has any questions. Thank you for watching. And for the live viewers, we're just going to go ahead and watch Black Betty one more time. I know I keep saying that, but that's how I just knew when I saw that level that that was how I had to kick off this review. So thanks for watching, guys. Menace actually brings up in chat how the lasers and the music is very familiar of Ocean's 12 is the movie he was referencing, where there is the laser light dance, and I think they literally wanted to do that. That again, where they wanted it to feel like it was Ocean's 12, and again, you know, there are just all these little nuances in the game where it's either kind of a shout out or just that again, yeah, just a clever likening to something like that, where it's not 100%. Man, I can't think right now. Where it's not 100%. I keep dying. You guys get what I'm saying, though. Where it's not 100% alike, but very, very similar, and I think it's one of those very cool combinations to use, where you don't really have to. I think this is the one where I get it. Where you don't have to. Yeah, nailed it. I even did a fist pump after I got this, so I think this is the part where I get it. So, yeah, that'll go ahead and wrap up this review. We're going to go ahead and let the score screen follow. Hopefully she does the little dance. I don't think I got gold on this one, though. But, yeah, like I was trying to say, you know, there are a lot of little likenesses that are just very cool. Get to do the little dance. And no more questions, so thank you for watching this live review of Rayman Legends. Next week, if I'm not on hiatus from getting an MRI where I'm supposed to be aggravating every inch of my body so they can scan it, I'll be doing the first part of the Grand Theft Auto 5 live review, because it seems like a big enough game where we can do a two-part live review, where I can do a first impression about how I'm feeling with the game, and in the second week we'll follow up with final impressions and scoring. So, other than that, no Monday next week with the way things are looking. Yeah, no Monday. And that'll about do it. Yeah, Tyler says, looking forward to the Grand Theft Auto 5 live review. I'm going to admit now that I am not always a fan of Grand Theft Auto. I believe it is still a series that lacks something. I won't be a person who will be giving it a perfect score, but from what I've seen a lot of live play. It'll be getting a genuinely high score. There are still things that the game lacks from me, personally. But I like to think I differentiate my scores from other people's for the reason that if we're all giving the same score, then what the hell is the point? But I'll still do my best to score it fairly. Other than that, thanks for tuning in, and if you can tune in live for archive viewers, thank you very much. Have a good night.